Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into Key Time Sports. It's Key Time coming back to talk about the Week 12 edition of the NFL. Now, there was a lot that had transpired in the NFL. This past, I am going to go back to the very first game that we saw with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. For those of you that need a refresher, Russell Wilson, 21 of 28, 270 yards, one touchdown, zero interceptions. Jameis Winston, 18 of 27, 219 yards, zero touchdowns, and one interception. This game for 3.5 quarters was hard to watch. And then both teams went on a scoring rampage in the fourth. But where the not Philadelphia, but where the Pittsburgh Steelers lost this game, they had a lead late in the fourth quarter. And if they would have ran the ball and made two first downs, the game would have been over. But they wasn't able to do that. They gave the ball back to the Cleveland Browns, and Cleveland Browns went down the field for the game-winning drive. So this loss is going to hurt the Pittsburgh Steelers in the long run when they look back at the end of the season and see where they lost at and who they shouldn't have lost to. This is going to be on the schedule because Cleveland, they are a underachieving team. They are 3-8. They have quarterbacks galore. Deshaun Watson is out. Now you are splitting reps between Jameis Winston and Dorian Thompson Robinson, your second quarterback on the roster now. And for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have I'm going to say a conservatively average offense. They're not going to throw the ball deep too much, and they don't rely on big plays like they have done in the past. But do I see the Pittsburgh Steelers getting very far in the playoffs? No, and here's why. Because their lack of consistency of scoring touchdowns game in and game out. They kick more field goals than score touchdowns. Here's a stat for everybody. Out of all of the possessions that the Pittsburgh Steelers offense has had, which is over 80 now, which is over 80 out of 80 possessions, they have kicked field goals on 65 of those possessions. 65 of those possessions, which could have been touchdowns, but they settled for field goals. Not to mention, 2 games this season, they've won by kicking nothing but field goals and not scoring a touchdown. In the playoffs, that is going to be their downfall. And for the Cleveland Browns, well, like I've been saying for the past month and a half, the Cleveland Browns, they need to go on ahead and get ready for the 2025 NFL draft and see if they could get some get some better players at the wide receiver position, basically at every position that the Cleveland Browns need help. That's what they need, because you don't know if Deshaun Watson is going to come back and play for you. If I was him, I wouldn't even play because the whole contract is guaranteed anyway. That contract is fully guaranteed. So as far as the Cleveland Browns, you have nowhere to go but up. Pittsburgh Steelers, you have to work on your offense before you get into the playoffs, because you will be one and done if not just scoring touchdowns, winning games, but like I said, defense for Pittsburgh has won most of the games for them in those games where they haven't been able to score a touchdown. So that's all I have for the Pittsburgh Steelers Cleveland Browns game. The next game I'm going to cover is the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. When I started off the season, I said the Chicago Bears would be my dark horse team to make the playoffs. Right now, they are 4-7, and their offense has been underperforming throughout most of this season. Caleb Williams, he had a good showing again this week, well, against the Vikings. 32 of 47, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Sam Darnold, 22 of 34, 330 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Chicago Bears, I think what I'm going to do right now is admit that now I was a little high on the Chicago Bears coming into the season, but that was because I thought that Roma Doomsday, Devontae Swift, and also Keenan Allen would have a breakout season along with Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift, I'm sorry. I thought that all three of those guys would have a breakout year, and the Chicago Bears defense would also have a stellar year. But like I said, offense has been underperforming. You fired your offensive coordinator a couple of weeks ago, thinking that that is going to be what jumpstarts your team to a offensive improve to offensively improve yourself, but you are still in the same boat like you were with the previous offensive coordinator. So the Chicago Bears season is hanging by a thread, and everybody knows when you let go of a thread and it hit the ground, that's it. That's it. So if the Chicago Bears lose one more game, better yet, they play Thursday. So if they lose Thursday's game, that's basically season over for them. As far as the Minnesota Vikings, the Green Bay Packers, and the Detroit Lions, they are going to be in it until the very end. But do I see anybody beating the Detroit Lions come the NFC playoffs? No, I don't, because the Detroit Lions have just took everything to a whole, well, I'm not even going to say a whole nother level. They took it to about 8 different levels. I mean, they start off the game fast, and they finish the game fast. And Minnesota, they're just an average team. I mean, this game, it really could have went anybody's way. In fact, on third down, both teams were pretty much the same on third down. Vikings 6 of 13 on third down, and the Bears 6 of 17 on third down. Caleb Williams, Sam Darnold, I already went over their stats, but long-term success for the Chicago Bears, they have it now with Caleb Williams. Now you've got to have a offensive coordinator that knows what he's doing, and you got to have the players that have confidence in that offensive coordinator, because if the players don't have confidence in the offensive coordinator, then it's almost like what suiting up every week if y'all don't have confidence. So that's all I have for the Minnesota Vikings and Chicago Bears game. The next game I'm going to cover is the aforementioned Detroit Lions and Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis Colts, they 5-7, season hanging by a thread. If they lose this coming weekend, they are out of the playoff picture entirely. But this is specifically on the Detroit Lions. Now, Detroit Lions have been one of the most efficient offenses this season. And as far as defense, they have been stellar. They haven't had their top dog, Aiden Hutchinson, in the starting lineup, and they are still putting up excellent numbers on the defensive end. Just against the Colts, just only allowing 6 points. I mean, you don't hear that much now in the NFL, when the NFL is so driven by offense. If you keep a team under 10 points, if you keep a team under 20 points, that's a great day for your defense. And that's a great day for the Detroit Lions defense because that's exactly what they did. The Indianapolis Colts couldn't do anything. The Detroit Lions, they just went into Indianapolis and just from the first quarter, it was just them all the way. It really was. When you look at their rushing game, they cracked over 100 yards, 137 to be exact. And Jared Goff, he keeps putting up MVP-like numbers. 26 of 36, 269 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. But when you have your running game cracking over 100 yards, you don't need to pass the ball as much. So with this game, Detroit was going to win outright, and that's exactly what they did. Here is their third down efficiency when it comes to Detroit Lions. Stellar, like they have always been throughout the season, 9 of 15 on third down. The Colts, 3 of 12 on third down. The Colts, this is another season of where they are rebuilding, but I do see potential with the Indianapolis Colts. Maybe not this year, but next year and the year after that, they should be able to make some noise as far as going into the playoffs and winning in the playoffs and playing deep into December and January. The next game I want to cover, I'm going to cover and the Miami Dolphins. Now, what have I said about the Miami Dolphins all season? Miami Dolphins, when they get Tua Tagovailoa back, their offense will be back. And it's amazing that you have one guy that's not under center that can change the outcome of the whole season. That is where development comes in at, and that is what I keep on saying preseason is for in any sport. It's about developing your second string, third string, fourth string, and fifth string players. That is all. That's all it's for. But now back to the game. New England, 3-9. I said a few weeks ago they should start being more focused on their draft position. Miami, you're 5-6 on the outside looking in of the playoffs. If they win out, they'll become 11-6 and have a chance at making the playoffs. But like I said, again, this game, I expected Miami Dolphins to win this game. That's why I'm not going to focus too much on it. I mean, the Miami rushing game was lackluster, only 65 yards. But when you have a quarterback throwing for over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, and having 0 interceptions, you don't even need the run game that much. Now, as far as for the New England Patriots, Drake May is your quarterback of the future. You already have your quarterback for the future, New England. Now you need good wide receivers, good running backs, good tight ends, and you need to improve your defense. And not just the defense, you need to improve the secondary. The 2 cornerbacks on the back end of the defense, they might need to draft 2 more corners because those guys they've had subpar performances this season. Now, third down in this game, it really wasn't nothing to be concerned about because Miami was 4 of 12 on third down and New England was 3 of 14 on third down. But at halftime, Miami was up 24-0. So I mean, when it comes to the second half, the New England Patriots never had an answer for the Miami Dolphins. And that is how it's been since the start of the 2021 season, since the first season after Tom Brady left New England. Miami has been the New England Patriots. The Patriots have been Miami's punching bag when it comes to beating up on the Patriots. Now, the Miami they are going to have to win out. They are to even remotely have a chance at making the playoffs. Miami Dolphins, you have to win out. The next game I'm going to cover is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. New York Giants, another team that should get prepared for the NFL draft. 2-9, you haven't won a home game. Tampa Bay pretty much went into New York, East Rutherford, New Jersey, if we want the exact location. East Rutherford, New Jersey. Tampa Bay went in there, played the Giants, and they were basically a runaway train. I mean, this game was not close. Baker Mayfield, 24 of 30, 294 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, but they had a good day on the ground. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had 156 yards. Tommy DeVito, 21 of 31, 189 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Drew Lock, 1 for 1, 3 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The New York Giants, I am going to say this, and I'm going to say this respectfully, because the utter stench of mediocrity when it comes to I'm just going to say this, the ownership of the New York Giants, they need to have an intervention. New York Giants fans, they need to have an intervention with the Giants ownership and the Giants general manager too. Because John Mara, what have you done? What have you done, I'm going to say, in the last, let's say, 10 to 15 years? You know what I've done in the last 30 years since. Now, everybody back in 1998, the father, John Mara's father, Steve Mara, who was the parent owner of the Giants, passed away, gave it to his son, John Mara. Okay, now let's fast forward to, you have 2007, Giants go on a lucky streak and go to the Super Bowl. 4 years later, 2011, go on another lucky streak and get to the Super Bowl. Outside of that, it has just been subpar, god-awful performances year in and year out. Let me tell you, I'm going to say this. Since 1980, the Giants have won 24 playoff games. 3 of them were Super Bowls. And I'm going to say since 2011, they've only won 2 playoff games. They have had 9 losing seasons since 2011. And also, they have gone through coaching change after coaching change. After Tom Coughlin, they went to Ben McAdoo and Joe Judge. Then now Brian Daboll. And Brian Daboll, he might be fired. I am going to say this. The New York Giants, you need a cultural overhauling of your organization, because this isn't the same type of New York Giants organization that every NFL fan remembers from 15, 20 years ago. Now it's just an embarrassment. And plus, the New York Giants, this is their 100th season. 100 years ago, their first ever quarterback. Now, I know I'm going to make everybody feel old, but if you haven't read your history book, the very first Giants quarterback was Y.A. Tittle back in 1934. So Y.A. Tittle, up until now, how many quarterbacks have the Giants had since then? I am going to say about 85. They've had 85 quarterbacks since Y.A. Tittle, and none of them have panned out as well as Y.A. Tittle. Eli, he had a good run, but just like I said, he got lucky those 2 years, beating the Patriots every year. But New York Giants fans, I feel for y'all in this situation, because you are going to have another high draft pick, and this draft is going to have 4 or maybe 5 bona fide superstars at quarterback. And I don't see the Giants getting any of them because we know Shedeur Sanders, he is not going to the New York Giants because that's a losing culture, a losing organization. Then you have Carson Beck. Can Carson Beck go into New York and deal with the New York media? Maybe not. But like I said, next season, you might be in the same position, New York Giant fans, trying to fight for a top pick in the 2026 NFL draft. Now, as far as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they are 5-6. Currently, they are right there with the Atlanta Falcons as far as being the top team in the NFC South. Now, a few weeks ago, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were left for dead. I had booked them. I booked them to a trip to Cancun already. A trip to Cancun, Rio de Janeiro, or wherever those players like to go. I had booked them for a trip there. But as of right now, the Atlanta Falcons have lost a couple of games. They only have 6 wins on the season. Tampa Bay has 5 wins on the season. Now it's a 2-team race between Tampa and Atlanta. Now, New Orleans, they're 4-7, but they have an outside chance at winning the NFC South if they go on a winning streak and win out. But as far as this game, Tampa Bay and the New York Giants, this game was a blowout. I didn't even think that this game was going to be close. I said that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would win outright, and that's exactly what they did. Third down really didn't have much impact in this game because Tampa Bay was up 30 by the start of the fourth quarter. So third down efficiency, 6 of 11 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The New York Giants, 5 of 11 on third down. So New York Giants, you've got to have to make the playoffs next season, but you have to get back to a form of relevancy because the New York Giants have been irrelevant for over 8 years now. For over 8 years, they have been. Now, the next game I want to cover is the Dallas Cowboys and Washington Commanders. How about my Cowboys? Now, as far as the Dallas Cowboys, I picked them to lose this game because I thought that Washington, they had the better team, better offense. They had the better everything. But I started to look at this game. I looked at this game from the entirety, from the first quarter to the end. And this game, I said to myself, I was like, okay, the Dallas Cowboys are showing grit here. They are, because 3-7, now they're 4-7. They have a chance. They play the New York Giants on Thursday. They have a chance at winning that game and improving their record to 5-7. And then you have the Washington Commanders. Washington Commanders' best start 7-5 since 1996. That's been their best start since 1996, and this is their best start since 2008 when they started off 2008 at 9-3. So Washington Commanders, in this case, you are a young up and coming team. I think that the Washington Commanders, they started to get overly confident in this game, and they thought that they could just run amok this game. They blocked they blocked a field goal, blocked 2 punts, and basically this game was close for 3.5 quarters. Dallas had the lead going into the fourth quarter, and then some crazy stuff happened in the fourth quarter. I don't know what it is, but every time my Dallas Cowboys play the Washington Commanders, there's always some crazy stuff that happened. I don't know if y'all remember this, but there was a game back in 2006 between these very two teams where the Cowboys were up 13 points with under 3 minutes left in the game. It was on Monday Night Football. And I was looking at that game, 2006. I was like 5 years old. So I'm looking at this game. I'm saying the game isn't over. And then all of a sudden, their wide receiver their top wide receiver at the time, Santana Moss, who is retired now, he caught 2 touchdowns to win that game. So a lot of crazy stuff happens when the Cowboys and the Commanders play. No matter how bad both teams are, they still do some crazy stuff in the game. Now, one guy that has been getting a whole lot of flowers ever since the game ended was KaVontae Turpin. Now, he is one of the most fastest guys in the NFL. It's between Tyreek Hill, KaVontae Turpin, and Xavier Worthy, who plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I don't know out of them three who is faster, but KaVontae Turpin, he was fast on that one play. He fumbled the ball, and I was saying to myself, I'm like, oh, man, not him. I'm like, Turpin, don't fumble. And then all of a sudden, he picked the ball up, and he did a spin move. In the split second, he was gone. So after that, I'm celebrating. I'm saying finally that we're gonna win a game going into Thursday. We're gonna have a chance to improve our record and have an outside chance at making the playoffs. So now, Washington Commanders, we still don't know who you are yet, as far as what type of team you are, because you played against inferior competition and you blew them out. You played against, let's say, well, the Cowboys in this case was inferior competition, but you had trouble with this inferior competition. Everybody was projecting the Washington Commanders to win this game by at least 13 points, if not more. I even said that the Washington Commanders would win this game in hopes of the Dallas Cowboys creating motivation for the Dallas Cowboys. And it worked too. Now, can they have 6 more games of this? I believe so. I know for a fact that they will win on Thursday because the Giants are, and I'm going to use a word that nobody has that I've never used before, and pretty much probably nobody has ever used in their vocabulary. But the Giants are what I like to call a team that's dilapidated. I'm going to say that again, dilapidated. The Giants are a dilapidated franchise. And dilapidated means that a team that's in disarray and also a team that is unsure of themselves. So that is what type of team the New York Giants are. As far as the Dallas Cowboys, we sitting over here pretty, 4-7. We got Thanksgiving Day coming up. Everybody gonna be sitting around the table, eating the turkey, eating macaroni and cheese, collard greens, the whole nine. And we gonna win on Thursday against our arch rival, the New York Giants. So that's all I have for the Dallas Cowboys. The next game I am going to cover is the Kansas City Panthers. Now, over the last 36 hours, I've been hearing this on my timeline, on YouTube, is the Kansas City Chiefs, are they okay as far as a team? Like I said, the league, I'm not going to say that the league has caught up to them, but the days of them blowing teams out by 25 and 30 points, they long gone. They are going to get everybody's best shot. And let me tell y'all something. If the Kansas City Chiefs win another Super Bowl this year, that'll be 3 straight Super Bowls. And you have to say that they have a stranglehold on the NFL because that's never been done. I said before the season started that the Kansas City Chiefs have nothing to prove because 8 teams in NFL history have had a chance to three-peat after winning back-to-back Super Bowls. All 8 of those teams failed to make it to the Super Bowl. Some of them, it was 4 teams that even failed to make it to the playoffs. So Kansas City Chiefs, I'm not worried about the Kansas City Chiefs. If they get home field advantage, you can pencil the Chiefs in the Super Bowl down in the French Quarter. You can pencil them in now. So, but one thing I can say, Carolina, they kept this game close. I wasn't expecting for Carolina to have a good game like that. But just like I said, this is the NFL. And there's a phrase that everybody uses in the NFL called any given Sunday, meaning that your team, your favorite team, no matter how bad your opponent is playing or how good your opponent is playing, your favorite NFL team can get beat on any Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Saturday, or in this case on Christmas, Wednesday. They can get beat any day of the week because it seems like every day now there's a football game, whether it's college football or pro football. So Carolina Panthers, at the start of the season, I projected them to, I said the Carolina Panthers would do good if they got 3 games. Now they've gotten 3 games. Let's see if they can win another 2 or 3. My homeboy, I am not worried about him. I'm not worried about Travis Kelce. The Swiftie fans, y'all should not be worried about the Kansas City Chiefs because Kansas City, they are going to be there in the end. They are. So we don't have to worry about the Chiefs anymore. Take it from us about the Chiefs. But you do have to worry about some of these other teams that should be winning over inferior competition, like the Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans, awful. Just awful. Will Levis, I call him the turnover machine for a reason because almost every game he played, he throw at least one interception. This game he threw, he was 18 of 24, 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And for the Houston Texans in this case, what I see from them is they have a subpar offensive line. CJ Stroud, he's not stepping into his throws like he did last season. The rushing game is not having the same type of impact like it did last season. So, Houston Texans, they're going to win the AFC South. Getting into the playoffs, I don't see them going very far. I just don't see them going very far. And then when you see third down efficiency, Houston was horrible. 3 of 13 on third down. You're not going to win very many games in any sport when you go 3 of 13. So, Houston, you have and it is your offensive line and it is your running backs. It is. So, Houston, you need to improve, and Tennessee, just get ready for next season. That's all. Just get ready for next season. Now, the game that I am going to cover is the Denver Broncos and the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I'm going to keep telling y'all this. At the start of the season, I said that the Broncos would win 10 games. And there was a whole bunch of people saying that. Key Time Sports, that's a little bit outlandish. Really? Was it a little bit outlandish? It was a little bit outlandish when I said it. Now you see the Denver Broncos are 7-5. They are 3 games away from winning 10 games. I know what I'm talking about. I have watched sports long enough to know when a young team, I know when a young team is about to make some noise. And the Denver Broncos, they are a team that has made a lot of noise coming into this season, led by Sean Payton, Bo Nix, your franchise cornerstone QB, and you see 25 of 42, 273 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 94.6. This game was a game that the Broncos was going to win no matter what, because Las Vegas Raiders, they have a subpar offense and defense, and the Denver rushing game, it was non-existent. But the Denver Broncos, Bo Nix, he had a good game, and they really didn't have to depend on the run that much. As far as the Las Vegas Raiders quarterbacks, Gardner Minshew, he got injured. Desmond Ritter, he was in there, didn't give you much. AJ Cole, he was in there for one play, didn't give you much. So, Denver Broncos, you did what you had to do. You did what you had to do. Third down efficiency, 6 of 15 for the Denver Broncos. Got to improve your third down offensive efficiency conversion rate. Las Vegas Raiders, 4 of 14 on third down. So Las Vegas Raiders is another team that needs to go on ahead and get prepared for the draft, because this, what the Las Vegas Raiders have now, it's not going to win them very many football games in the future, let alone for the rest of the season. So that's all I have for the Denver Broncos and the Las Vegas Raiders. The next game over is the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers. This to be a closer game between the 49ers, but the 49ers, they just gonna have to take a back seat. They are gonna have to take a back seat because they're 5-6, worst start to a season ever under Kyle Shanahan, and you have subpar performances. Brock Purdy is out. More than half of your offensive lineup is out. Christian McCaffrey just came back. Deebo Samuel, you don't know whether he's in and out from week to week. Green Bay, in this case, we know that Green Bay is going to be in the thick of it come December and January, and deep into January. So for the 49ers, I think they are just physically. I hear this term. I've heard this term a lot over the past few days. Physically drained and wore out, and they should be, because I'm gonna tell you, last 5 years for the 49ers, it's been Super Bowl appearance, loss, NFC Championship appearance, loss, NFC Championship appearance, loss, NFC Championship appearance, win, NFC Championship appearance last year, win, and last year Super Bowl appearance and loss. You done lost twice to the Kansas City Chiefs. San Francisco, and plus you have a lot of players on the back end that you haven't paid yet. Now it's time to let this player go, that player go. This player needs to stay. That player needs to go. This player needs to stay. That player needs to go. That's what the 49ers are about to do this offseason. So, are the 49ers left for dead? I'm willing to say so. I'm willing to say so, because they have too many injuries. Too many injuries, and the Green Bay Packers are better than them right now. They are just better. Third down efficiency, it really, third down really didn't have an impact in this game. The 49ers were 3 of 10. The Green Bay Packers was 6 of 13, but the Green Bay Packers had so many big plays that they really didn't need to go third down plays a lot. Now, the next game I'm going is the Arizona and the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Arizona Cardinals and Seattle Seahawks have the same exact record after this game. Seahawks have beaten the Arizona Cardinals, so Seattle is first place in the division by default because of this win. When you look at this game in its entirety, you will see that both quarterbacks are pretty much decent, are decent to average at best. And you see the Arizona Cardinals offense really didn't do anything. Running game, 49 yards, and the Seattle Seahawks rushing yards was 65. So 2 running games non-existent, but both defenses came to play. Wide receivers some wide receivers had an okay day, had a decent day. Defense for both sides had a good day. Interceptions, when it comes to the Cardinals, Garrett Williams intercepted Geno Smith. No surprise there. Also, Seattle, when it comes to their offense has been playing subpar all season. So now when you look at this and you see where Arizona, 3 of 12, Seattle, 7 of 14, you see where one offense played just a little bit better than a team in the Arizona Cardinals offense where weeks prior they were averaging 25 to 30 points per game. So the Seattle Seahawks have first place in the NFC West, and Francisco 49ers. I never thought that I would be saying that at any time this season. The last 2 games I want to cover is Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. The first off with the Sunday Night Football game between the Eagles and Rams. One thing I got to say is Philadelphia, the rushing game, that is going to take them places. It really is. Saquon Barkley, 255 yards, player of the game. Jalen Hurts didn't have to throw the ball that much. Matthew Stafford, 24 of 36, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Offensively, the Rams have been sputtering. Defensively, the Rams have been sputtering. All throughout the season, the Rams have been subpar, and you can see when it comes to their third down offense. They were 0 of 8 on third down. 0 of 8. And you are not going to win any games when you are 0 of 8 in any type of category. Philadelphia, they're 9 and 2. I could see them facing the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship game if both of those teams are lucky enough to get there. Los Angeles Rams, you are going to be fighting tooth and nail. You basically have to win to make it to the playoffs. Now, the last game of the week, which was last night, the Baltimore Ravens and the Los Angeles Chargers. Ravens did differently last night is gave the ball to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is the X factor for the Baltimore Ravens to go to the Super Bowl. If they give the ball to Derrick Henry more than 20 times, they are undefeated. If they give the ball to Derrick Henry less than 20 times, they lose. So keep Derrick Henry in the offensive play calling as much as you can if you are the Baltimore Ravens. And as far as for the Los Angeles Chargers, this was a great showing. This shows a lot of people where the Los Angeles Chargers, they can hang with the upper echelon teams, but they still have steps to go in beating upper echelon teams. So as of right now, the Los Angeles Chargers, they are in that 6th spot. The Baltimore Ravens, they are in that 3rd or 4th spot in the AFC playoff picture. But as far as this game, this was a very entertaining game. 3rd down efficiency, the Ravens were 8 of 15. The Chargers were 5 of 14 on 3rd down. And basically what I took away from this game, you have a young upcoming team in the Los Angeles Chargers trying to find their way, trying to figure out what team they are. And then you have the Baltimore Ravens, a team that's trying to get to their ultimate goal, and that is down in the French Quarter in New Orleans, playing the Super Bowl in February. So with that, those are my reactions to week 12 of the 2024 NFL season. Please like, subscribe to get notified of all of my reaction videos, shows, and other content. And remember, one last thing, the key is always on time.